This meeting is being recorded.
Aloha family, this is the Beyond Boundaries podcast where we break the binds and bounds of societal norms and we expand our hearts and awareness to divine love and connection. With our brothers here, we got Matt.
Hello.
And we got homie in the back. You want to say your name, bro?
Amal.
What's up, Amal? Let's go. So what's today's topic, Matt?
So today we're going to be discussing freedom, the freedom that we feel within the self when we are fully being ourselves, when we are fully connected to the divine source within. We find this in many different ways. You know, you can even refer to this freedom as the flow state that we feel. You can feel this whether it's sports that you play or exercise or in meditation. This is the connection that we're seeking through meditation, through creativity, through creating artwork, dance, any form of art that you find yourself doing. You can find freedom and flow within that. And so just like to dive into how we find this freedom within ourselves, and how we can find that divine connection within through anything that we're doing, whether it's mundane or our favorite thing that we like to do. Because I believe that it's possible to feel that freedom of existence, that freedom of being, of feeling, whether we're, doing something like that I don't like to do, like taxes, or creating artwork. So we really can tap into freedom in everything that we're doing. So it's like, the biggest way that I've been able to tap into that has been the practice of meditation. And like earlier, before we started this recording, through chanting as well, has really given me access to my voice, I feel like, in a way that I didn't previously have access to. So it's become freedom of expression through chanting, and finding a free feeling of self through contact in meditation, through self-exploration in that way, and then learning to create from that place. So creating artwork, painting, and digital work like that, and just like finding this freedom and flow through creativity and chanting and meditation. Like, I just can't repeat that enough. I think it's such a wonderful practice that allows an access to a level of energy that is it's been profound for me.
Yeah, the freedom from all these practices, and something that's coming up when you said that was that we have all of these senses that we're experiencing information from, and all of these senses are experiencing information from different inputs and different causes that now create the effect of us sensing. So Matt's amazing artwork and our brother Amal in the background making some art, that flow state is really the divine flowing through. So other reflections of the divine through the senses, the language in which we're able to speak without words a lot of the time, is able to be expressed and felt and seen. So it's like God whipping up pancakes for God. And the homie that's making the pancakes, you smell him in the kitchen, and he's just there like all happy-go-lucky whipping up the pancakes. Got the syrup, he's got the whole shebang there. He's got all the nice sauces and everything that he's putting there, chopped fruit, and he even put like a syrup and a smiley face on the pancake. And that person was in the flow state because that was just what spirit in that moment wanted to do, was whip up some pancakes for the homie. And what's so cool about that is that's the language of the divine. As you know, the Yogananda and all other, pretty much all, I'm assuming, yogic teachers that I know of, would say that Om is the sound of creation, the primal energy, the Ah that's coming from the root, the Kundalini serpent rises, the Ooh to activate the knowledge and wisdom of the throat, and the destruction of bringing this from outside of our being into physically or energetically manifested on outside of our body. And that is what's so cool, is because that's God doing that, whether it's painting, drawing, singing, rapping, anything, writing, that's God writing. And then we're able to receive that information uh, through our senses. And that's really, to me, is like true freedom, when you're adding value to other people's senses and to other people's experiences. Because and that was the main point that it took me a minute to get there, but that's the freedom, is the adding the value, because the other line of thought and action could be something that's taking away, and there's some neutral actions too, but typically it's like one or the other. And it's so cool to be on the side of like giving our love and painting with our being, so that other senses can receive the information and benefit. That's what
Yeah.
freedom.
Yeah, that is freedom, Yeah, and when you are creating, or like anything that you're doing from that place of wanting others to enjoy it, it's like that really is where that sense of freedom comes in. And then like you're able to do what you're doing with this whole other sense of being. It's almost like that's what allows us to step outside of ourselves, and then that's when the divine energy flows through, and it's like then we're offering it up to others, up to God through others. And then, as whether you're making pancakes, or you're making paintings, or you're doing making music, you're singing, you're rapping, like all these things that you're doing is so that other people are going to enjoy this and be uplifted by it. And it's like, and then it's uplifting you at the same time when you do it with that energy. And it's like that's where the sense of like true freedom lies. It's not in like, oh, I'm free to get whatever I want and be however I want. Like that's not freedom. Like, that's actually the trap of the ego trying to like satisfy its own senses. But when you really are enjoying life, it's when you're giving energy back to everything around you, and then you're really enjoying it along with the divine, along with everyone around you. That's how you realize the oneness of what we are as God, and then we're just sharing, and then we're just like being this thing together, and like just gets more and more incredible. Like that's freedom. Yeah.
Yeah. And they talk about it in probably every religion. It's either the devil figure or, oh, I wish I remembered the Hebrew name. I just met my neighbor yesterday, and he's like a teacher for Jewish kids that are like 5 years old. I'm not even going to try to imitate it, but it's like Mission Good Lawyers. I just tried. I have no idea. It's something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like the adversary, like that I was making a reel the other day, and I promise this is all tie into it. And the left and the right. So it goes back to that. What kind of neutral actions are there? I guess there's
Mm.
some neutral actions. Maybe I can't think of any off the top of my head, because even sitting there neutrally could be like affecting somebody. Because if you would be listening to that right shoulder, that voice of intuition, that guidance, that freedom, that flow, that love that allows other flowers to blossom and grow, that is the freedom. And then there's that other, like, you know thing that's there telling you that you need this, or you're not good enough, so you have to go get that, or there's just all this confusion and things that are bringing the energy down the spine. And even Don Miguel Ruiz talks about it in all of his books. I don't know if anybody's read like the Four Agreements, and then Mastery of Love, and all of these. It's like there's that poison, or that toxic sludge of consciousness that's trauma wounds. And to me, freedom is experienced when you're in these flow states, and what's not experienced when you're in these flow states is the residue of these trauma wounds, because there's no then and there's no back then and there's no later. There's only this freedom and the ever new, beautiful, blissful present moment that we're painting on the canvas of creation with our words, thoughts, actions, even our thoughts. And
Mhm.
that's just so beautiful to me to see that that comparison, because I've spent so much time with the adversary or whatever, like trying to prove myself or I could be this guy or that guy, or overusing, abusing certain things, and we tell ourselves from that limited perspective that, oh, I'll have freedom when this, I'll have freedom when that. And we maybe don't even tell ourselves that, but that's what we're doing these deeds for. That's why we're behaving the way we are, is because we don't have freedom now. But what meditation and breathwork Kriya gives us freedom now. Freedom
Mhm.
now, freedom when, freedom now. And it's so beautiful to have freedom now. Even when things are messed up and it hurts outside, immediately freedom now from the hurt, because you can just be the observer of it. And that's cultivated with really rewiring your brain on a physical chemical level. And then also, that obviously just ties hand in hand with working with spirit, through spirit as spirit.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. And that point about using meditation, like you really are creating these new neural pathways in the mind through meditation. Like it's not just this ethereal, like woo-woo thing that you're gonna sit down and some magic is gonna happen. It's like you're literally using your focus on whether it's mantra or focus on the breath, like through the Kriya practice, it's you're diverting the brain who wants to think about, like, maybe distract you with thoughts of littleness or what you need to worry about, which happened earlier or what's going to happen in the future. You're literally training the mind to create new neural pathways to focus on freedom, on infinite joy that is like really available at all times, and then getting the mind to refocus on that rather than the worries or the self-doubts or the any of that past bullshit that can like really divert our attention from realizing freedom, from realizing the inner joy. Like we're really physically training the mind to orient towards that, teaching ourselves that that's what I really want. It's not all the other things and not all the other worries. Like none of that really gets us anywhere. It's like, but when we can realize that we can train the mind to focus on what we really do want to feel, like then every other action comes from that inner joy, and it just like is able to expand. Like you really can feel joy in everything that you do. Everything that we do is can come from a place of inner joy, and then you're no longer like grasping at outer things, but rather you are that thing that is giving that energy outward into everyone through your actions. It's like you might not even be able to be doing something, like when we were talking to um your buddy, forgetting his name right now.
Drew or Brad?
Brad, yeah, he says like, yeah, I could be just like doing this carpentry project at somebody's house, and then just like, I'm just really happy you're here.
Yeah.
Because you're just emanating this joy, and it's inward. And that just happened. You're like, oh, okay, cool. You're not even trying to do that. It's just
Yeah.
because you've cultivated that, then just people see it. They notice this, and you're more pleasant to be around. You feel more comfortable in your own skin. It makes life that much more fun. It is possible to be having fun all the time.
Yeah.
That's freedom. That's really realizing how free we are, is to have that enjoyment of all things. And even like this you know, my brother and I were just talking. We just recorded a podcast today too of this mural festival that we just worked on, and it's like we do this every year, and it's like bringing artists from all over the world. You know, so you know, you got to fly them in, you got to pick them up from the airport, you got to make sure that their wall is prepped and ready, it's got to be painted right, they got to have all their supplies that they ask for, you know, you got to make sure they're happy with everything, and then make sure that the project goes well, you know, and there's inevitably there's things that go wrong, right? So it's like it's like doing all these things, and then even when the things are going wrong, you can still have access to inner joy and just be like, oh cool, this is like the time you get to practice that, you know. It's like, oh, somebody's lift got stuck in the grass and now we got to figure out how to tow it out without calling a tow truck, because you know, it was like that gets expensive, and this is like a non-for-profit festival that goes on, so it's like there's not tons of money involved, you know, that's able access to. So it's like trying to do everything as well as possible. And you know, there was the 2,500-foot wall that needed to be painted again like 2 days before the artist arrived, you know, and so I had to learn how to drive a boom lift, and we didn't have access to a sprayer, so I had to roll the entire wall with a roller from a boom lift and like learn how to do this within an afternoon
Oh
and then
man.
complete it before the artist arrived. I literally was putting like the last roller on, and she like walks up like, oh, the wall looks great, and I'm like, oh good. Yeah.
Very cool.
And then just like, and then just that was the beginning, you know. That was how the whole week started. It's
Wow.
like, then we start doing things, you know. So it's like, and it really was like, it's the most fun I've had each year, and it's also the most tired. Like, it's the most like energy asked of me all year in a week, you know. Like I always like get to the end of it and just like have to lay down for a whole day, you know. But it's the most fun, you know. It's like the entire time, even when things like weather changes, or you know, this person's upset, we got to get them this thing, you know, or whatever. It's like you still feel like, okay, cool, like next challenge, you know.
Yeah.
Just like keeping that inner joy going the entire time, and not being like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to solve this problem, and letting it like kind of make you don't get into that freak out mode, because you know that doesn't help any of us. So we just like keep focused on realizing that there is a solution, and that solution will come to your mind as long as you keep the joy focused inward, you know. And that's like that really allows the fun and the solutions to arise.
Yeah. Yeah, man. The solutions always do arise. Oh man, what was there's somebody that said, I forget who said it, but they said something along the lines of there's no problem you can't solve pretty much, and that every problem that there is, there's a solution within like arm's reach. And I think that's a bit of an exaggeration. If you need water, sometimes you need to walk a mile to get the water. But um, yeah, there's always something that can line up. Or if the solution is that it's your time to go, then I guess that could be the solution too. If this is like a really drastic thing that's going on. But yeah, being able to stay calm throughout it all. What I've noticed lately is that the main sources of rest that we get are so essential, and being able to actually sustain this freedom. Because I don't know if you or anybody who's listening has experienced this, but if you're not actively tuning your being and like cultivating that energy and awareness, then it's easy to notice how freedom now isn't quite as easy just to drop into. And I want to specify, when we're talking about freedom now and this bliss, maybe somebody's watching this like, what are you talking about? This is like bliss. And like, well, to me, a good way of saying what bliss is imagine that your mind is not your brain inside of your body, and it's actually just this orb of energy that encompasses your body, around your body, your aura or whatever. And that's imagine, you can look at it like a phone. Like, here's a phone, and this is the phone's body, and then this is the phone's mind all around the phone. And energy and information is coming to this phone to make it have Wi-Fi and things like that. So same with us. Our body is the phone, and our orb or aura is our energy. And to be able to feel this subtle energy and turn it on, because it's innately blissful, this orb around us, this energy that we're made of is innately a sensation of wellness, of good, of tranquility, and even if focused on properly or in a certain way, it could be like ecstasy. And this is felt as like a feeling in the physical body. It could even, especially along the central column of the spine and the main nerve ending, just to make it a little more sciencey, because I guess spirit manifests in our body, and then our body can kind of still relate to some of these more uh, etheric concepts that we're trying to wrap our heads around with science. So we have nerves, and nerves are just sending energy everywhere to your brain and body and back. So you have in your prostate gland a whole bunch of nerves there, and that's like right on your pelvic floor and the anal sphincter region. So here, um, that there's a lot of nerves, and this is like right at the bottom of your spine. So you can feel from here all the way to the other major nerve centers in your brain tingles that feel as though you just took that first bite of ice cream after you've been anticipating it all day, or you took that first sip of coffee and you were like, oh yeah, like but instead of having to like say words about, oh yeah, like this is good, it's like a silent like flush and rush of this sensation of like no words distracting you from the feeling, just mm, ah. And yeah, so you can feel that with practice, just from focusing on it. And that can be done while doing anything. And I find myself, a perfect example of when I'm needing to turn that on is sometimes now I've been geeking out on these ClickFunnels things so I can get my message to as many people as possible and make my passion and my purpose something that also pays in a sustainable way, to where I don't need to do all that much else other than that. So um, I find myself like, oh, fuck, sometimes. But then I'm like, oh, yeah, bro, you don't have space for that. And then I take some breaths while I'm focusing directly on the task at hand, and I just breathe and I soften my face. I breathe and I love, and I breathe and I love my pain, and I breathe and I love the annoyance, and I breathe and I love, and I breathe and I love how I need to remember to like put my left eye down because I'm squinting because I'm a little anxious, and I breathe and I love, and then that can get turned back on. But there comes a point where sometimes, maybe if you're a workaholic or something, which I've never really been that before, but I found myself actually being borderline that lately. There's days like these last 2 days where you should, like, I haven't done anything on like the ClickFunnels for, I mean, a little bit yesterday, but like nothing today, because I knew damn well something in me was like, dude, just like let your body fully reset and recharge. And to be able to give ourselves the space to do that is great. And I know it's not possible for a lot of people if you're like working a normal job. So the breathe and love thing still will work. But if you have the ability to give yourself like 6 hours, even just to like lay on your back in the sun, for example, is what I did today. And I just drank a shit ton of water and ate a bunch of fruit juice and stuff, and I just laid in the sun until I fell asleep. And then I did a little breath work when I woke up. And then I laid there still, and I just like let my body recharge with the light of the sun, with the light of the fruit, the light of focusing my attention inward instead of like externally trying to comprehend information from these books, while then applying it and using all this mental power out here in this gymnastics, like giving myself that time to really meditate and dissolve and recharge my batteries, so then I can go back and I can breathe and love and breathe and love and be able to be the most effective creator possible. And I find that that's something that we often find today, is that we have all these ambitions, we have all these goals and dreams, and we have all these things that we just maybe even aren't ambitious about. We just have to fucking do it because you need food and a place to live. And I get that. Like, I get that. So, you might as well do that from a way where of more bliss and of more calmness, sweetness, and happiness. And yeah, my point of doing this long run around is really been the point of this whole episode so far, and a lot of the other episodes, is meditate. Like, to give yourself the way the here it is. So say you're a tennis player, just pulling this straight out of my source hole, my butt. Say you're a tennis player and you're here and you're like watching these Serena Williams, and you're watching these like pro Wimbledon homies, and you're like, yo, my God, like they must train like gazillions of hours and do all this stuff, and like you go there every day and you're like trying to play the tennis, but you just can't be good as these people. But then what you don't see is that like you still go to work and you still do all this hard shit while the Wimbledon homie is like resting on days and their whole entire focus is like nonstop on tennis, 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 then resting, resting, resting so they can do more tennis. So to be able to know that we're gonna like have all of these external things that are gonna want to burn us out. May it be work, may it be this kind of girlfriend relationship, any kind of relationship that we're having that can be sometimes overwhelming or overpower our capacity to be a deliberate creator. So here you are now, and you're finally ready to get to the tryouts for Wimbledon, and you fuck up the first time, but it's okay because then you have a whole entire year to figure out where you messed up. And where I think people messed up is with the health and wellness industry at this moment. We've been taught that we haven't been taught this. Like we've been taught just to like go hard, be an entrepreneur, or like go work your ass off for somebody, or go to college, and somehow you'll get a job in your field. But what they're not teaching you how to do is be like a fucking Wimbledon person. And if you want to be the Wimbledon winner, you're gonna have to know how to strike with your wand. What do you call it? Your racket. You got to hit with your and you have to be able to do all the other things like knowing where to place your feet and knowing how much water to drink before or how much water not to drink before because you don't want to get a cramp in the middle of the game. So we went through life this whole time and we were trial and error, and now it's time. We got like 6 more months until our next Wimbledon journey. But right now, if you're watching this, you know where to put your feet. You know how much water to drink before the game. You know what time you need to go to bed and what you need to watch before bed to make sure that you're on your A game. And what all that in this context would be is like the different types of rest and meditation and chanting and all creating all other things that we were just talking about. That is the formula to win the Wimbledon of being somebody who can be blissful and happy all the time, even in the midst of chaos and failure. Because next time you fail, you're now have these tools again. Say you lost Wimbledon the second time in a row, but now you know where to put your feet. Now you know how to relax and meditate. So it's like round three. Next year is always there. So my point of saying all that is like it's been a journey for everybody. And if you're watching this, it's surely been a journey because anybody who's watching this probably been through some shit, or you're just like born super into this type of stuff, I guess. But usually it took suffering to get here.
Many lifetimes of practice.
Yeah.
It is good karma. But yeah, and that thing of like never feeling a sense of failure either, just realizing that every, like, even like you're saying, like if you didn't win the championship the first time, but you learned all the things that maybe like, oh, now I know how to go against that opponent, or now I know, oh, I had my foot structure this way and it should have been that way. And it's like you're always learning. Like there really is no such thing as failure because it's just another stepping stone that is strengthening you towards the better version of yourself, and that version like always can be better. There like the pinnacle of yourself is an infinite version of the self, so it's like we're always climbing towards that. And like in Autobiography of a Yogi, Yogananda asks Sri Yukteswar, and he says, he's going on about all the astral realms and all the different kind of things that he does. And so Yogananda asks him, it's like, so does it ever end? And he's like, you go on until you reach endlessness. And so we're going until we reach endlessness. We have forever, and we're continuously progressing and making ourselves into these better and better versions of ourselves constantly, at whatever it is. And then eventually that just becoming more aware, and like you're saying, you find out like, oh, I need this much rest, I need to eat these things. You're just finding out like what actually makes you feel the best, and then you're doing those things more and more. Then you can sit in meditation longer, you can do the breath work more often, you can, whatever the thing is that you're using to better yourself, like you get better at using that tool and then strengthening the self in that way. It's like, and that journey doesn't end. like they're you get to the point where you're, like you're saying, it's like even if you're at the like your last moment, you can really go into that unknown state with consciousness and then find joy on the other side as well. It's like this ever expanding, ever new bliss is the reality. So we're practicing that here now in the moment, and also like ultimately preparing ourselves when for the time when we leave this body, and then like being conscious, so like ever more aware, like you're saying. It's like we're always learning. If you're a tennis player, you're always learning to be better at tennis. If you're an artist, you're always learning to make better art. You're always studying, always looking into the self, and like, okay, where do I need to improve? What does improve me? And then just becoming more and more aware of that. And it's like that journey it becomes more fun. The more it really does become more fun, the more we are tuning into awareness, and like seeing this as like something we get to do, rather than like you're saying, like getting frustrated with like, oh, why do I have to do this thing, or making it such a struggle in that way. It's like you can really turn it into like starting to see life as this virtual reality video game that we're playing, and you're just making your character cooler and better and more. It's people like to be around this character more. It's it's creating it really is in service to the whole reality that it's around. And yeah, that just makes the thing much more fun. It's not a thing you're struggling against, but something you get to do to strengthen ourselves. And it's like, and yeah, and one other point, that while you're talking about the tennis character as well, there's a book called the War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Have you read this?
No, but dude, you're like the fifth time that somebody's mentioned this in this week.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, that book is calling to you.
Clearly.
Yeah, that book is like the Bible for anybody who wants to become a professional, any kind of entrepreneur or artist. Stephen Pressfield's a writer, so he writes as an author, but it applies to all art. And in there, one of the things he says, like you're saying, like if you're trying to become the pro and you're looking at all the pros, and you're like, oh, how could I become as good as them? But you also have to wake up and spend 8 hours at some other job that has nothing to do with what you really want to do. There's something that he says in there, which is like, it's almost daunting, right? But he's like, if you really want to be successful, then you have to have only, you have no option B. It's not like, oh, I hope to become a pro tennis player, but if I don't, I can just work this 9 to 5 job over here. Like that'll sustain me. Is like, nope, if you want to be the best, like you have to decide like I am only going to play this tennis game and that's it. Like it's either pro tennis or nothing. Like, like once you make that decision, it's like then your life just starts to orient around that, and it's like you can really generate that amount of focus on what you really want to do, and then life will send you some tests of like asking like, or do you really want to do this? It'll show you how big of a task it is, like you're saying too, like all the work you're putting into creating the breath work teaching and everything that you're building right now. It's like there are things that come up where you're like, oh man, I wish I didn't have to do this part or whatever, all the like business aspect of it. It's like, I just want to focus on what I want to teach people, but there's so many aspects to building what you really want to be. And if you really do focus on it, there's a quote that my brother always says. It's like, it's basically like if you want to do something impossible, like focus all your energy at it, and then divine forces will come to your aid. And it's true. Like it really is. There's an aspect to the universe, to God, whatever you want to call it, where it's like it's either when we call out to it in a time of darkness, or when we call out to it in like a real deep desire for this thing that we truly want. It may throw some things at you that are like, oh, but how about this thing instead? How about this thing instead? And then you say, no, like, no, this is it. This is the thing that I'm looking for. Like, this is the only thing I'm focusing on. And then once you kind of like prove that to yourself, prove that to God through yourself, then these this divine forces do come to your aid, and like doors start opening that you didn't even know existed. People start coming into your life that you didn't know existed. Like, oh, I didn't even know these avenues were there. I didn't know these, and they'll be right in your, arm's reach, like you were saying. It's like, like, but before, like your mind just was oriented in a different way. You weren't able to see this before, but when you really do begin to create that focus, it's like, yeah, it starts to seem like magic. And
Seem like.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it is. Yeah, I was always not a believer in oracle cards until I was like, oh wait, like, so I'm made of light particles vibrating, and so is the chair, and so is the oracle card deck. So instead of having this connotation that like, oh, there's dippy spiritual people that think they're onto something, like that's kind of what I used to think about oracle cards. I've been having this realization, especially fucking today, especially today, but just this last week, when I noticed myself having thoughts like that, when some of the homies were like doing it, I caught myself thinking that, oh, maybe I like know something that's silly, like that they're doing that, and I was like, then I looked at me and I'm like, bro, no, that's silly that you think that that's silly that they're doing that. Like, what are you talking about? There's some kind of, I don't know, like not. So, anyways, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it because my friend that came and helped me get all of this, dude, a bed, a desk, like such a blessing, dude, tableware, everything. She just came with everything. So we didn't have any plates. We have plates now and forks and everything. So so she's like, hey, let's pull one of these oracle cards. I saw that little voice come up with a little skepticism, and then I was like, no, yeah, let's do it. So we do it, and she pulls one, and it literally is like speaking directly to me, and I was like, no way, like all of them sound like this. So I started reading like all of the things in the book, like to see if they all say some shit like that. Dude, no, that was very unique and insane that came up. So then what happened was I got a whisper. I was like, okay, then you pull a card, bro. So then I go and I'm mixing it up, and a couple fell out. It's a phoenix and this one of the transformation. I haven't the picture of the card is literally that. Just like the when like this same tattoo, same everything. So and just like when Miles, I'm not gonna get dark here. Let's just say I got this pennant that it's just insane the way that I got this pennant, and it's this picture of the tattoo that I already had years before Phoenix, which is supposed to be like the third stage of Scorpio, when like you start tapping into your emotions and helping the world and shit like that.
Mm.
So, and with all that stuff too, I'm very skeptical because I'm like I have this dogma in my head, like, oh, I learned from you know, Ayurveda and people who do like real Vedic astrology and that are like rishis and shit. Like, I don't want to hear your Western astrology and your oracle cards. Like, these people are like channeling shit from the Akashic, like real time. I want to see your cards. So I've started to get over that kind of idea in my head. And so then I pulled these cards, and four of them came out, and one of them was the Phoenix. It just spoke right to me, like literally spoke great to me. There's no way to explain it other than that. Then I got a whisper saying, "Oh wait, I think this one's for you, Angelina, one of the four." And it was literally exactly her current situation that she's going through right now. And then the other two were like spot on. But the crazy thing about it is every time I went to go look at the page, I immediately, that's the first page I opened to all four times, dude. Like open, boop, like there's the Phoenix. And I was like, okay, what page is it on? And I go, boop. It's like, oh, 117 for transformation. I'm like, oh my God. And the craziest thing beyond that is that one of the cards, the transformation one, I took a picture of it. I'm going to just read that shit real quick. It says Beyond Boundaries on it, bro.
Yes, dude.
I'm
Yeah.
going to read it real quick. It says, this is the valiant courage. Take action with passion. Card meaning. This isn't the time to be timid or hold back. Gather your inner resources and go forward gallantly with your banner of truth waving in the wind. Throw your shoulders back and move forward fearlessly. Take risks. It's okay to feel afraid. Just don't let it stop you. Don't play safe. Just like you were saying, I don't have another choice. I came down here just like I don't have another choice. This is what I'm doing. Uh, Honor your truth. You are a light bearer for others. Through your example, people find and act on their truth with courage and grace. The sacred traveler wants you to know the sacred traveler sometimes experiences the unexpected on the road. Perhaps a bear appears or someone with less than pure intentions emerges from the woods. Courage doesn't mean that you're not afraid. It means that in spite of fear and hesitation, you take action. Face your anxiety and go beyond the boundaries of limited perceptions of yourself. I was like, oh, okay, beyond the boundaries. It didn't say it exactly. Then I kept reading. I was like, any journey of the heart needs courage, and you're on such a journey. It takes bravery to go forward when you can't see around the corner, but do it anyway. Don't allow yourself to be limited by the beliefs of others or even your own thinking or own limited beliefs of God or beliefs. Go beyond boundaries of self imposed barriers. Live passionately, valiantly, and courageously. Go beyond boundaries, bro. That's like literally, I say that shit every day,
Oh,
like
man.
multiple times. The name of the
That's
brand, like
good.
what? Yeah.
Yeah.
So flip right to the page. So yeah, man, that was proof. I forget exactly how that came up. I think it was something along the lines of that storytelling book that you were just saying, and like not having a choice. I don't know, it somehow just popped up, but here we are.
Yeah, yeah, it is cool too, kind of like diving into those other tools. Like you're saying, you might be like, oh, I have this one and it's the real one, and everybody, or whatever is like, oh, that thing people are doing over there, like that's just some child shit,
Right,
and
that's
then you do that, and then you're like, oh, I pulled this tarot card and it talks about this exact moment, like, it's like, oh, okay. It kind of like it's like there's something too, like how there's even a story in autobiography where Yogananda talks about that, and he was talking about astrology, and then even Sri Yukteswar was like, don't just dismiss that stuff, and he's like, no, like everything is connected. So it's like the divine spirit can speak to you through anything. Like it doesn't need doesn't even need to speak the same language. It could speak through just like a child that you walk past on the playground or something, and he just says something that says exactly what you needed to hear at that moment. It's like that God is always speaking to you. So of course he can use like these cards that somebody's written an entire book about, that have been being used for hundreds of years. It's like, and it's just like another way to tap into the message that spirit is constantly feeding to us. So it's like, if we're not hearing it in our mind and that feeling it in the heart, then it's like it will use something like that just to like be very direct. So it's like, okay, here's the message. Like, do you hear it now? Puts it right in front of you, brings you this friend who draws tarot cards and oracle cards. Like, okay, here it is. You can even read it. It's in English. Everything's connected. You're on the right path. It's just like, gives you that message in whatever way it really needs to. And then and then we go, oh, okay, now I see. It's like, yeah, it makes it really fun that those things exist. Because it's even as many times I've done the same thing where I've been like, okay, is this real? And then you pull the card or whatever, like, okay, yeah, it's real. It's like every time it blows my mind. Like every time I get an astrology reading or every time I pull tarot cards, it's just like, oh my, like, how is this happening? Really shows the like infinitude, of spirit being able to communicate with us. It's like, it's not limited to one book or one teacher, or it's like, because like you said before, like guru is everywhere, and like once you tap into that energy, it's speaking to you all the time, and it always has been. It's just like it takes us like attuning our minds, attuning our own spirit to be able to contact that, so that we can really directly hear that message. And then it's just speaking through everything, and there's no hiding from it anymore. It's always there.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah, that's really cool. I really like that's even amazing that you're like, oh, I don't know, like, I don't know if I believe that, and then it just says like, says your direct message back to you. Go beyond
3 cards, and I opened the thing. Right.
Right.
It was like out of a movie book or something. Like, it's like the universe has been waiting for me to like do that, I guess. Yeah, I need to keep listening in ways that I'm not used to listening, because to me, I just feel so comfortable with just listening to silence and listening to feeling my like energy and just feeling and watching as parts of my fascia and my tissues start to get extra warmth and energy to it, and then it like loosens a little bit, and then like I feel like a wave of energy move upwards, and like that's the way that I'm used to. I do that every day, all the fucking time. Like, that's just what I do. And then like I assume other people probably are experiencing something similar to me sometimes, and I'm like, oh wait, no. So other people do it in their own way. Like, some people do it through tarot cards mostly. And because I've asked a handful of people lately, like, yeah, do you like, basically, I'm not going to do the whole rundown right now, but do you experience like this, and this, and this, and this about like all these feelings in your body and like noticing which nostrils more flared, and when and why, and just like all the yogic shit. And like I'm starting to realize, like, no, like a lot of other people are experiencing spirit in a different way than I'm experiencing it, and that's like really interesting. So let me like see about experiencing it in their way.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is like, and also that's something that comes up for me too, in that where it's like, oh, the way that I'm experiencing it, I kind of like, either there's parts of me that are like, oh, this person who's into spiritual things, like they obviously already know this thing, or they're obviously experiencing it this way. But then like And then you like still share something and they're like, oh wow, I've never thought about it like that. And like, oh, like that is unique to what I'm doing, you know. That is important to share these things, you know. It's like you talking about like the way you're like feeling into tension in the body, and then like, oh, I can like send a warmth energy, you know, a light energy to it, and then release, and it moves energy up the spine, and it's like, and that just feels amazing. Like you think like, oh, everybody probably knows how to do that, right?
Yeah,
Like, oh, but oh, maybe they don't.
yeah,
You know, like, oh, it's
yeah,
important to share. I guess that's really good information, you know. And then like
yeah.
really realizing that too, that it's like that we each are experiencing it in this unique way, and there is this like unique way that we're moving through the world and thinking and utilizing energy and finding ways to make ourselves feel better and heal ourselves in that way. It's like, you know, then we come together and like share those things, and then it's like, oh, you know, I've never thought about like receiving the information through these like cards with pictures on them. Like that's so wild. Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
You know, like I thought I had to sit for an hour in silence, you know. And like, and both are valid, you know, and both
Yeah.
are useful in different ways. And it's like I said again, it's like that is spirit speaking to us in all forms, like showing itself to us in the infinite reality that we live in. It's like it's not restrained to one thing or the other. It has all these ways to speak to us, and we find our path in that way through like studying all these different ways, and then you're eventually led to, you know, your guru, you know, like your source for joy, for love, for information. And then once you tap into that, then everything speaks to you from that place, you know, and it
Mm.
really can and will do so, you know. And then you're constantly being guided from by that in your friends, you know, like Yogananda says, like God speaks to us through our friends, you know. God speaks to us through everything that's happening. You know, it's not some voice that comes out of a cloud, you know, one
Who
day.
knows?
Yeah, it's like that might, that's totally possible too. I'm not saying that's not possible. I've you know, had some mushroom experiences that have showed me that's pretty possible.
Yeah.
um, but you know, it's not just that, you know. It's through so many different avenues, and through things that we may even think of as mundane, but can also be, you know, once we're listening to spirit, it's like there's nothing that's not that. There's nothing that's not profound, you know, and giving us the next step on the journey, the next clue, the next thing that's going to bring us towards the, you know, where we're headed, you know, and an evolution of ourselves, you know, constantly moving towards that new version.
Yeah, man. Breadcrumbs on the road. Forgiveness
Yeah.
was paid, no one's owed. Nines grow. 6 times 3 is 18. You're made of Satan. Awaken the dormant power latent in your spine. Remove the gloves of habituation. Sit back, breathe that source with your praying. What is time? Is it a thing? On this quest, so many questions. What's the meaning? Are we dreaming? Why am I so excited and beaming? Is it even okay to feel this good? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, breadcrumbs on the road, dude. Like it leads you home, and you just really help reawaken something within me. Is like slow down some. It's been prevalent in a lot of the different messages I've been getting from spirits. Like allow yourself to still go out and like do what you're doing, like and go full force and give it your 100%. Like keep going to the gym like a lunatic, like not no days off type shit. Like keep studying your click funnels and just going bonkers and like put your alarm clock early in the morning with like your shouting voice. It's time to get up, motherfucker! Like yo, that alarm clock is like some days it's Joey Diaz. it's it's Monday, bitches, and then some days it's me just like, yo, it's time to get up, boy. Korean time, let's get it. And yeah, like to let that happen, but to slow down and to listen and know that everything is sending us signals and information. And spirit does talk in crazy ways. Like just me being in this house right now, it's called the Lighthouse. The name of the church we're making is Beacons of Light Lighthouse. 4 times did random people's mouths say the words Beacons of Light Lighthouse prior to, like, right after we determined the name of the church. Then I was saying to the universe, yo, I'm not going to go back to St. Pete yet because I'm just going to stay here. And I know that someone's going to, a friend of a friend, this is what I kept saying. I know a friend of a friend in South Florida is going to end up having a place for a room for me to move in. Next thing you know, the fucking lighthouse house is where I moved. And then just so much more lighthouse stuff. And then I was like, yeah, like I'm not gonna worry about furniture. Like it'll figure itself out. Like here I am with like a really nice desk and like bed and all the shit that I totally didn't have or pay for. And it's like setting that knowingness and that intention and like listening for the cues. And for me, it's like giving myself the time to meditate. And I noticed when I'm super hyperactive doing like creating shit, you have to, I don't want to call it work. That's why it took me a second. Creating shit, like, uh, you need to meditate more so you can still slow down and hear those whispers from the universe. And like today, the universe just was like talking to me all day, dude. Like with this table, with the cards, with a lot of what you just said, like the art of the not art, war of art.
Yeah.
Dude, all that. Like the universe is talking. You are the universe.
Yeah. Yeah, same with your motivational energy right now. It's just like getting that enthusiasm of like getting up in the morning and just being like, yeah, like you're like that Joey Diaz, like we're gonna grab today by the boss. Yeah. That's something that's like, yeah, like I need more of that cultivated in my own life. It's just like constantly feeling that, and then just like really knowing that energy will feed in is like, even if it's been like 3 hours of sleep or whatever, that you can like just decide that that's enough sleep and then go through the day and be like just feeling energetic.
Yeah.
And it's like that's possible, and then at the same time like finding the time to slow down and just, whether it's meditation or just, taking a nap sometimes, like that's something that I like. Even I think even just as when I was younger, like I used to get upset with myself if I took a nap.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I don't know why that is, but it's just like,
You need to be doing something.
allowing. Yeah. So I guess it's just our like, productivity cult that we live in this country. But yeah, it's like so important to take rest, and to allow the mind to recuperate, and take time to meditate. Like there's even a story of a highly successful businessman who was involved with the ashram that Yogananda started, and said that he would actually meditate for 6 hours of the day and then go into work for 2 hours, and he would get like way more done in those 2 hours than if he was spending the whole day there at work. Like he would sit in meditation and fully clear his mind, and then go into work and only do for 2 hours exactly what needed to be done, and then he could go home. And so he's like doing that meditation is actually what allowed him to be the most productive. So it's like reminds me too of there's a song by Spangle called "Nothing Is Something Worth Doing." It's like that statement. It's like when you give your time enough space to clear the mind like that, like that's when you really are the most productive, and your mind isn't like constantly scattered or thinking about other things that maybe are really just like drawing energy out of the body that aren't fully the focus of what you're trying to accomplish. It's like when you do take that downtime, or especially take the meditation time to refocus the mind and really clear the mind and really focus on your energy and rising that energy and realizing that that's possible. And then you just, everything you're doing becomes more focused, there's less wasted time that happens through that process. Yeah, so I'm like reminding myself of that right now as I'm speaking. It's like I find it always interesting when like learning from my own voice is like a really great thing too. But yeah, like you're saying, that spirit is always talking, and it talks through each other and through our experiences and through life, through everything. Really is through everything that we're doing, that we're being in communication with spirit. There's this divine guidance that's always happening. Is quite remarkable thing to like step into and know is happening all the time, like you're saying. Then like all these like amazing experiences happen, like your experience with the oracle cards and with other people, like just kind of affirming back to you that you're on the right path. You're
Yeah.
doing the right thing.
Right.
Yeah, so I think we've covered a lot of the bases that we set out to cover.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel complete. And about on this note, I was thinking I was gonna actually offer to you what I could do, and feel free to like to say no, obviously, because this is a tall task. Um, I could, because I'm gonna do this regardless. I could share the screen and I could sit down on the floor here and I could put on a meditation that everybody would be able to do. And you could leave if it's too long too, because you could like if you've had enough, you could always like um, not you could just like leave the meeting and it would still be recording and stuff. But yeah, it would be nice maybe like at the end of this one, just like meditate with the fam.
Yeah, I like that. Into it.
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, do not feel obligated to sit here for this whole time because this is gonna be like a 45-minute one.
Okay, cool.
Feel the back of your head in space, and in space, the back of your head occupies. In space. I love Dr. Joe. Oh, man. Now become aware of the space in which your throat occupies in space. Feel it, sense it, become more aware of it in space. Yo, it was good to see you, Amal.
You too, Kashi.
Peace, bro. All right, see you later, Matt.
All right, see you on the other side.
Yes. Let me know if you could still hear it when I click this, okay?
All right.
Warning.
Right. So no sound currently.
Move beyond your senses,
There it is.
beyond the world of the three-dimensional reality that we experience on a daily basis, then to become pure consciousness. That means then that we have to take our attention off our body, off the people in our lives, off the things we own, the places we go, and time itself. And the act of doing that causes us to move into the present moment. Now, once we're in the present moment, we're present with a consciousness called the unified field that is always present within us. Now, you're in a perfect place as pure consciousness and awareness in this infinite black space where there's nothing physical, there's nothing material. There are no bodies, there are no people, there are no things, there are no places to go, there isn't even time itself. That place then causes you as an awareness to become aware of a frequency or energy called the unified field. And you can't experience it with your senses. You can't see it, you can't hear it, you can't feel it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it. It exists beyond the senses. You can only experience it as an awareness. So then, once you're at that place where you're beyond three-dimensional reality, then as you begin to unfold into the unified field, you should experience greater degrees of oneness. Then you should become the consciousness of everybody, of everyone, of everything, of everywhere, in every time. That's the unified field. And as you connect more to the unified field and you move closer to it, you experience less separation. And if you experience less separation, you experience more wholeness and oneness. And all of a sudden, you start feeling like everything you want in your life has already happened. The act of doing that over and over again carves a path neurologically between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. And you will move from the realm of space-time to the realm of time-space. And in the realm of time-space, all possibilities exist. There is no past, there is no future. You're in the eternal present moment. I hope you enjoy it. Eyes closed. Take a breath. And relax. Your body feel your body and relax it. More. And become aware of the endless black space. beyond you. How far? Can your awareness go? To endless space. How deep? Is the void? Sense it. Stay aware of it. In the blackness. Become aware. There's endless space. On both sides of you. Sense it. Stay aware of it. Stay connected to it. In the blackness. While you sense its infinite depth. Way out. Beyond you. And can you become aware of the volume of space beyond your head, in space? And now, can you rest your awareness in the space that the back of your head occupies in space? And can you sense the volume of space that the back of your head occupies in space? And now, can you become aware of the volume of space around your head in space? And now, can you move your attention to the space that your throat occupies in space? And can you feel the volume of space that your throat occupies in space? And can you become aware of the energy of space around your neck in space? Can you rest your awareness in the space in the center of your chest, in space? And can you become aware of the volume of space that the center of your chest occupies? In space. And can you sense the energy of space beyond your torso, around your shoulders, in space? And can you sense the volume of space that your body occupies in all of space? And now it's time to become nobody. No one, no thing, nowhere. In no time. To become pure consciousness. And to unfold as an awareness in the infinite space of all possibilities. There's endless space behind you. Sense it. become more aware of it. Stay connected to it. In the blackness. Become the blackness. And lose yourself in nothing. More. And become more of it. Less of you. And dissolve. As pure consciousness. Void. As an awareness. Aware that you're aware in endless space. Tune in to a frequency of oneness, wholeness. Find it. Feel it. Stay aware of it.
And to invest your energy into the unknown. more you draw the new experience, moving beyond space and time. Now, it's time to recondition your body to a new mind. What is courage? Come on. Can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to be fearless? What could fearlessness feel like? And what is nobility? Can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to have honor? What would that feel like? And what is genius? Come on, can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to have an unlimited mind? What could that feel like? And what is freedom? Can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to be liberated? What would that feel like? And what is invincibility? Come on, can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to have an uncompromising will? What would that feel like? And what is abundance? your body emotionally? What it feels like to have all of your needs met? What could that feel like? And what is inspiration? Come on, can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to be empowered by an idea and to see a future without obstacles? What would that feel like? And what is vitality? Come on. Can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to have limitless energy? What would that feel like? And what is divinity? Can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to be moved by the Spirit? What could that feel like? And what is passion? Can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to be in love with life? What would that feel like? And what is knowingness? Can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to trust in the unknown? What would that feel like? And what is clarity? Can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to have a coherent mind and heart? What would that feel like? And what is presence? Can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to have all of your attention and energy in the moment? What could that feel like? And what is transformation? Can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like when you overcome your self-imposed limitations? What would that feel like? And what is surrender? Can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to give your creation to a greater mind? What would that feel like? And what is the mind of the healer? Can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to give life to life? What would that feel like? And what is the miraculous? Come on. Can you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to do the uncommon? What will that feel like?